Hello and welcome to this KardiaChain tutorial. My name is Rami and today I'm going to show you how to build a dApp on the KardiaChain Testnet. So there will be 3 steps in this tutorial. The first being the prerequisites, high-level things that you'll need in order to complete steps 2 and 3 of this tutorial. Step 2, I'll introduce you to the KardiaChain front-end Web3 template that the dev team at KardiaChain has provided. Step 3, I'll show you how to build on that in order to build your own dApp. So the first thing, prerequisites. What are you going to need? From a programming language perspective, you will have to have experience or exposure using Solidity, React.js, and HTML. Now I am using a Mac, however, regardless of your OS, you'll still need the same prerequisites. The route you obtain them might just be a little different. So the first thing you'll need is Git, and so in order to check if you have it, you can just run git version. If a version comes back, you're good. Otherwise, head over to gitscm.com, go to their download section and follow the instructions to get it. Second thing you will need is npm, and so you can check if you have that by running npm version. If a version number comes back, you're good. Otherwise, you'll have to visit nodejs.org. Once again, you can quickly download the version that works for your requirements, and that just takes about a few minutes to get going. The third thing you will need is some sort of React.js editor. You can use Sublime Text, VS Code, Code Sandbox, or any editor that you're comfortable with. For this tutorial, I will be using Sublime Text. And then finally, this tutorial is actually part of a series of tutorials. So if you haven't seen the other ones, I'd recommend you go back and watch those before continuing with this tutorial. So let's get started. Now the dev team at KardiaChain has already provided us with a front-end Web3 template, and I highly recommend you use it in order to get started. Let's start by going to docs.kardiachain.io, head down to tutorials, building dApp, front end, and then right here we see web front end using Web3.js. If we click on that, it will take us to the GitHub repository for KardiaChain. So we can see all the files in this repository. If we scroll down a little bit, there is a README file. And so what they're saying is this is a simple template to work with KardiaChain using Web3. The custom hook use Web3 can be used to connect KardiaChain wallet extension or MetaMask. Okay, so let's click on code and we'll copy the URL. We'll start by making a directory for our project itself. I'll call it my Kardia dApp. Now once you enter your project folder, you're going to want to run git clone, paste the repository URL and hit enter. Let's take a look. So we'll go into that new folder and we'll need to install 2 things right off the bat. The first is npm. Great. And the second is the ethers library. Now let's open that project in Sublime Text. So let's go to the source folder and then hook and use Web3. So this is the use Web3 hook that they have provided. If we take a look at it from a high level, we can see that they do have 2 variables and their functions, Web3 and address. And they've basically provided 2 functions for connecting the KardiaChain extension and connecting to MetaMask. And so we can see it returns the Web3 object, the address, as well as the function calls for connect KardiaChain extension and connect MetaMask. Next thing we're going to do is head over to app.tsx. And so this is the main class or component where everything happens. And we can see they're actually importing the use Web3 right over here. The function app itself does set the address, the connect KardiaChain extension, Web3, and connect MetaMask by calling use Web3. There's also a balance state variable, and 1, 2, 3 functions. Handle get balance, parse get balance, which will just format it, and to handle the connection right here. And finally, in the bottom, we can see that they have provided a template for rendering everything back onto the screen. So all we really need to do at this point is to run it. To do that, we'll head back over to the terminal and we'll type in npm start. And just like that, you are running the KardiaChain front-end Web3 template. So we can see that there's a title, Web3 template to work with KardiaChain, and we've been provided with the 2 buttons, connect using KardiaChain extension, connect using MetaMask. Now, in order for these to work, you do need the MetaMask extension or the KardiaChain extension. Once again, those were covered in previous tutorials, and you can see that I do have MetaMask over here and I have KardiaChain over here. So let's go ahead and click connect using MetaMask. We can see the address loads, and if I say get Kai balance, we can see my balance loads, and we can verify that by clicking on my MetaMask extension. That is the correct address, and that is my balance. Let's also try connect using KardiaChain extension and get balance. And so if we click on my KardiaChain extension, we can see that is the correct account as well as the balance. And that's really all it takes in order to get their front-end Web3 template working. Now step 3, we're going to build on it in order to turn it into a dApp. So the first thing we need to do is head over to remix.ethereum.org and get some information from this smart contract. So this smart contract is already deployed, and so what I will be doing is clicking on the compile tab. I'll be copying the ABI and I'll be pasting that over here. And the second thing I'm going to do is go to the deploy tab. Here's our deployed contract, and so we'll copy that address and we'll paste that over here. Once again, if you're not sure how to get that information, I'd recommend you go back and watch our previous tutorial titled IDE Setup. So at this point, we have everything we need in order to head back to the project and begin building on it. All right, so in order to build a smart contract on top of this template, we're going to start by creating a new file, and we're going to call it personabi.json, and this is going to be a placeholder for the JSON data that we obtained from our smart contract. So we can save that and close it. And then what we're going to do is bring in some imports, including an import to that person abi.json right here. And so what I'll actually do is just put a comment there for any new code that we add, which is related to the smart contract, so that you could see the difference and see just how easy it is to get to that full dApp objective. So what I've basically done is imported the ethers library, the person ABI JSON, and the Web3 utils just to get our hands on ABI item, which we'll use with person ABI. Now, what are we trying to do? We're going to want to put a connect button here, which will allow us just to communicate or to initiate the communication with the smart contract. So let's do that first. Okay, so let's get this out of the way, and then we'll head down here and we'll drop in that. And so what that is a button, which we'll call a function, which we'll need to write called connect contract, and a label, which will return the value of a variable called contract status. So let's go ahead and get those done. Okay, so we've got our connect contract function right here. We're making a connection to the contract, passing in the person ABI and person contract address, which is a variable we will have to define. We're setting the state variable contract over here. And then finally, we're setting a new variable set contract status to connected, which we'll need to create as well. So let's create that and that now. At this point, let's give it a quick test. So we'll save it and we'll do a connect to MetaMask, confirm the balance, and there's our button, and it is connected. Now what I'd like to do is add a title followed by two buttons, one for get age and one for get name. So let's head back down here. And so we've gone ahead and created it right here. And so we have a condition, which is only render this to the screen if contract status has a value. We'll have the dApp title sitting in this variable, which we'll need to create. We'll have a button on click calls get current name and another one get current age. Both will have labels underneath with the value, with the variables being called current name val and current age val. So we'll need to create those. Okay, so I have added the dApp title. I'm going to call it person dApp on KardiaChain Testnet, as well as the two variables with their function pairs, current name val and current age val. In here we can see the two functions, get current name, which will make a call to the contract, recognizing because of the JSON that get name is a function in the smart contract, and the return value of it will be saved in the current name val, and then the same logic applies for the age. So let's go ahead and save that so that it renders to the screen. And once again, we'll have to connect get Kai balance, connect the contract. We have our title being displayed, and we have our two buttons, which we have added the logic to. So if we click get current name, we can see the last value. And if we click get current age, we see the last value as well. So now what we want to do is start by hiding me. And then we want to create two input boxes here with some functionality so that we can set the name and set the age. So let's go ahead and go down here. So as you can see, we've basically got two forms here. The first on submit we'll call set name handler, and it's going to make use of this input field. And the second we'll call set age handler, and it will make use of this age input field. So let's go ahead and start writing these. Okay, so I have gone ahead and created the two handlers as well as render it to the screen, and so we can see it's working. The set name handler basically takes in the input form value, makes a call to the contract, calling the set name function, passing in that input field, and we do need to tell it where it's coming from, so we're passing in our address. Set age handler does the same thing more or less. A few things that I did add is a transaction status. I just want us to be able to see some sort of notification on the page once the transaction does come back. So I've added this new variable and created it at the top as well with the value of transaction complete. When it's initially clicked, it gets reset. And then if you head down here, you'll see I'm basically rendering it below the form. And then of course, if we go to the top, I'll show you the other places I added it. So here is the transaction status. In the handle connect, so on connection I want it cleared as well, so I've gone ahead and placed it there. And in connect contract, I am resetting it along with all of our other variables because I want them cleared out every time we make a new connection. Finally, I also did add it to get current name and get current age. So let's test this out. Let's say we want to change the value to new name. MetaMask will pop up. Confirm. Now we're waiting for it to be confirmed. We can verify that by clicking get current name. Perfect. We'll do the same for set age. And we'll confirm. And it has come back, so let's go ahead and check the value. So the beauty of this Web3 template provided by the KardiaChain team really allowed us to build this really quick. And as well, it lets us switch on the fly. So if I just go to connect using KardiaChain extension, get my balance. Let's reconnect to the contract. We'll get our name. We'll get our age. And then let's set name as well. We can see the KardiaChain extension come up, and we'll hit submit. And so we'll test that, and we'll test the set age. And we'll check. Perfect. So that wraps up our tutorial on building a dApp on the KardiaChain Testnet, KardiaChain blockchain. If you did enjoy this, please drop us a like. If you have any questions, let us know. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.